Low target, our friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another orc mode workout. Today was max effort bench press day. We're gonna get a lot more of these. Yep, I'm gonna rotate the press out. We're just gonna work on bench accessories because I have to. So for those of you who like these videos and watch them every day, please click like. And as people even write in the comments, I don't know why it's so hard for you guys to click like. The dislike bots beat you guys, and there'll be 150 likes and thousands of views. Just click like, guys. It's not that hard. Now, for the benching, you guys notice I've returned to the foot stance and grip where I was strongest back in December when my bench was actually going up. Why? It's stable. I'm not worried about creating a massive arch. When I'm closer grip, I'm not even weak off the bottom. Even if my pecs are a weak link, I'm not weak out of the bottom. So what is an extra inch of arch going to do for me? Nothing. And I'm more stable flat-footed. Okay, I'm more stable. We get tighter. Right, and being more stable is going to matter when it gets hard sometimes, when it gets to sticking points. Okay, and I didn't go ultra hard, but notice that I'm still stronger than the last bench day, because this is technically just as much band, if not more band, than the chains I had. I went a little heavier and stopped. Why? Because it felt above 90%. I need to get some wins there. So people are going to ask, what's going on? Why are you dropping overhead pressing? I'm very strong at the overhead press relative to my benching. I build my press very, very easily. As you guys saw, just doing rep work on the press, I went back and hit a 225 press first time I maxed on it again. Okay? No practice. The overhead pressing, even all the volume, doesn't carry over at all to my bench. Doing delt work doesn't carry over to my bench at all. Not a single pound. Not 1 pound. What does carry over to my bench? Floor presses, tricep work. Those seem to carry over really, really well to my bench. What do I know from my 20s built my bench? Tons of dips. Okay, I built my bench in my 20s originally doing tons of dips, which if I get too heavy, it fatigues my shoulder. It's an issue. Wasn't when I was younger. Closed grip presses. And actually board presses. I'm not gonna lie, I used board presses back then. So again, comes over to tricep work. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna focus on floor press and dips, and I have a lot of variations. Okay, if I don't do the dip as a first lift, I'm usually better because I don't have to go as heavy because I'm more fatigued, and it's a little easier on the shoulder. It can irritate my shoulder, and I have to pay attention to that. But part of it needs to be doing as a tricep exercise, going narrower, right? We don't get on the end of the V bars. Floor pressing, it took me a little bit to get back into the groove with the straight bar. Because again, I tend to sometimes dump the bar a little bit on the eccentric at the bottom of a bench press. So right there, kind of keeping my wrist in the right position can be difficult. Took me a little practice. Took me the first set to get in the groove and to start locking every rep. And how do I define lock? I define lock as when my elbows turn out, right? For me, I can feel the lock. And I needed to focus on that more, so I need to come off the bottom, follow through. Now, I did a tutorial on the floor press the other day. Did you guys a full tutorial? So people can see it's a soft touch and then you reverse. It's a controlled eccentric and then you drive up. Controlled eccentric, drive up, and I try to, again, turn the elbows out, which for me is where they lock. Okay? Just trying to get the good range of motion, and I need to follow through with it. And when I started doing that, I started feeling my triceps more. Now, I felt a tremendous amount of delt. So we get to the point of, why do I need front delt exercises when I feel my delts light up massively on this? Okay, I don't need to be worrying about front delt. Everything I do hits front delts. And I'll just do face pulls and stuff for the side and the rear. I don't think my delts grew from all the tons of laterals I did. Months of laterals. High volume. I don't see any difference. And the data suggests face pulls will do just as well. So I'll just keep doing all my face pulls. Obviously tons of rows because I do at least 15 sets of rows. Pendlay rows every week. That hits the rear delts. Face pulls at 15 sets a week. We'll work most of the rest of the delt. And we'll just worry about pressing. And we need to get chest development. Well, I filled my upper chest on this just as much as an incline. Okay, so we're getting it there. And we know the dips hit the entire chest. I'm not worried about figuring any of that out. The floor press carries over to my bench. Good close grip here. Get strong on my 10 rep maxes. And I went right back to what I've been using before, but it was challenging. So I need to micro load it up from here. For those who can't see the small plates, this is 230 for 5 by 10. with the closed grip. I need to get this up. Now, the beauty of it, if it starts to irritate anything, I have 3 different bars. So I'm going to stick with the things that I know have helped my bench, whether I was when I was younger or more recently. I'm going to stick with the bench grip that I'm the strongest at, and that's pretty close grip. I'm stronger there. It's easier on my shoulders. I go on my toes. I don't seem to get any more out of cutting an extra inch of range of motion out with the arch. Doesn't do anything. Just going to stay stable, stay flat-footed, do my close grip bench, do the movements that I know build it. Okay, no more nonsense of, well, in theory, the overhead press should carry over. It doesn't for me. It doesn't add crap to my bench. Nothing. No matter how strong I get on the overhead press, unless I'm doing direct work to bring my bench up, doesn't help. Justin Anderson even commented on that. A lot of lifters, that's true. All about the chest. And for me, chest and triceps. That's it. So what else hits chest and triceps? Dips. And I did them against a light band, and it makes all the difference, right? I took these with sets of 10, just against that mini band, and they were challenging, and I went on the final set. I took it out to a limit set, and I got to 12. So we've kind of got a good baseline. I'll try to go a little more reps each time with the band, and then when it gets to where I can easily do, 5 sets of 12 or more, we'll go to the next band up. I want to keep it at least 10 though. But I'm not gripping the thing out on the ends. I'm at a more narrower grip. It's a little more tricep oriented in theory. But I feel my chest tremendously on these. Okay? Chest and triceps. It's going to be the name of the game. And the floor press is direct movement pattern carryover. Okay? It's direct carryover. This is just going to be general hypertrophy, making sure my whole chest gets built, all of my tricep gets built. It works all 3 heads a little more than a lot of pressing does. Making sure that we're getting the whole chest and tricep built. And again, if we're dealing with concerns of overuse, I have slightly different grips I can adjust on there. I have 3 different forms of resistance. We can do the little mini bands. I could always do plates. I could do chains. So we have 3 different exercises to avoid overuse. Just like the floor press, I got 3 different bars. I can always add chains. So I have variations. We have ways to avoid overuse while sticking to these movements that I know are going to give me the best results. And we're going to focus on max benching. Right? Different bands, different chain tensions. Might even do some floor pressing there with that. Thing is, max effort work is going to have to be benching. We're going to need 3 bench days every week. Even though I'm going to cut back to 6 days a week instead of 7, you can have 3 bench days, and we're going to alternate squat and deadlift days with appropriate accessories. And so I have everything I need to make it happen, to do the lifts that we know are going to build the bench. Quit playing around, quit trying to mess with different grips, different footings. Just go with what works. Okay? I have to get my bench up. All these other different things, they're not working. Overhead pressing doesn't work. Incline doesn't work. Floor presses work. Dips work. Okay? We know that. They go up, my bench goes up. Nothing else I do works. Just have to accept that. Then we mess with JM presses. Now, I started really light, then I added a little weight. Some people are going to... The first one's a little awkward, trying to find my groove on these correctly. Really trying to make sure I'm hitting the tricep the way I want to hit it. Now, some people will say, why are you doing them on the floor? Why does it look just like your floor press? Because I won't carry over. This is going to be an accessory to keep my floor press moving. Okay? Because if the floor press gets hard for me, it gets hard at the lockout. You notice the ones where I grind a little bit. I'm not slow off the bottom. I'm slow at the top. So if my lockouts are strong, if the triceps can lock hard at the top of my floor press, guess what? I can keep adding more weight. And if I can keep getting stronger at my volume work on my floor press, my bench will go up. Okay, my triceps can become a little bit of a weak link because my arms are often a weak link. By doing this, I am doing a direct supplemental lift for them. Now, I'm going to go up in weight on this, obviously. These ended up being around sets of 15. Took me a bit to really find that perfect groove to where it's really hammering my triceps the way I want it to, and hit the medial and lateral head really hard, which is what we need for the floor press, to lock it hard. But I eventually got there. Now, I feel like I got in my groove good with these. With practice, I can maybe go up to 95 pounds next time. But we want to keep them above 10 reps. I don't want anything getting low rep. I don't want it to turn into a closed grip floor press again. Okay, it is important to get that tricep extension element to it, even though it's a multi-joint movement. Hit the uprights there. I need to keep that that carryover to it. So again, it needs to essentially train the triceps for my floor press, while still being obviously a tricep builder across the board. It still builds the triceps. Still make them bigger, and I need more triceps. I need a lot more tricep. But a lot of my tricep now is really lagging on the lower half. Like my long head built up a lot from all the other tricep stuff I did, right? Did it carry over to my bench? No. It carries over to my overhead press. I have to build the lateral and medial head. Got to maximize them. Get all my chest pressing strength up so my bench goes up. But in this case, this one is very specific to my floor press. We're getting specificity of training while still using a hypertrophy exercise for those weak links. Okay. If I can keep those heads of the tricep growing in a way that carries over to the floor press, it'll keep going up and my bench will go up. The name of the game is going to be chest and triceps. I have to forget about delts. Okay, they don't matter. All the delt training in the world doesn't budge my bench press ever. Not at all. The beauty of it, I have so much history now with overhead pressing. In the background of it, I think if my bench goes up, I could probably walk in and hit a PR on the overhead press without even training it. I mean, let's be realistic here. I acclimate to that lift very well. I could probably spend 3 weeks doing volume work on overhead press if my bench goes up significantly, and probably PR my overhead press. Because strong is strong. And I tend to be better at it than the bench anyways. And we've always known that. So what do we have to do? What's my worst lift? The bench. It means 50% of my training time is going to be bench related. And we could argue that some of my lower body days are even bench oriented. So the other 50% of my training, because there's so many rows and stuff in there, which again can be good supplemental to your benching. The bicep work in there, which again can help the bench. It ends up really being that at this point, 60% of my training is going to be geared towards bench press. The other 40% towards squats and deadlift, which I'm dramatically better at. All right? Because I deadlift over 600, squat mid fives. All right? To be equal, I need a 380 to 390 bench to even be at the same level. So yes, that is the ratio. So if you see a guy who can bench 380 and he's not squatting well above 500 and deadlifting over 600, he's not in balance. That's not a correct balance. He's not at the same level with his lower body versus his upper. But yeah, in my case, I've got to work on it. And this is the only stuff that seems to work. We've experimented with everything. I've looked back at my notes of where my bench was going up and where it hasn't been, because I keep all of this. I have all of these videos, everything. And when I put the most focus on the floor press and on triceps, the bench goes up. The more focus I put on overhead press, the more it goes down sometimes. My bench regresses. It just is what it is. So the only way around it, build these muscles. You know what? I can get my delts with this other stuff. That's fine. They don't seem to contribute to my bench at all other than stabilizers. And you know what? How do we build them as stabilizers? I don't know, face pulls. Doesn't this build it in a way that stabilizes? Yeah. Does this help protect the shoulders? You bet. While building the other heads of the delt. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, so that's what I'm going to have to do. I accept that. So I have all the tools available. It's a matter of implementing it. And yeah, I feel like I've made, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Because December, I looked back, I was stronger at benching in December. I was stronger than I am now. We're up in February. But yeah, around Christmas time, I was stronger. So the changes I implemented and doing overhead pressing and all this other stuff hasn't done anything. Hasn't done anything. So what do? You have to do what works. You have to do what works. So chest top to bottom, and again practicing a movement pattern on top of it for movement pattern carryover in addition to the hypertrophy. Tricep work, but trying to pick tricep work that will complement my other lifts, right? We need to be looking at, will this tricep exercise make the floor press go up? Will it make the dips go up in a direct manner? So yeah, I'm basically training a bench specific tricep movements, but of course in that case I'm making it, a little more specific to the floor press. Not that it will matter that much, but again, we got to get all of it. And then obviously I still do tons of upper back work because we do 15 sets of rows on lower body days. That's a lot, and 15 sets of face pulls on these bench days. Alright guys, well that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.